안녕하세요. 한국어 선생님 찐 선생입니다. Hello guys, this is Korean teacher 찐 teacher. Let's learn more about the fourth episode of Learn Korea with BTS. They showed you how to say thank you in Korean in a formal way and in an informal way. 감사합니다. 고마워요. 감사합니다. 고마워요. It means thank you. And it's very easy and useful expression when learning Korean. They explained that 감사합니다 as a formal expression and 고마워요 as an informal expression. That's right, but that's not enough.
Nope.
Because you can also say that 고맙습니다 as a formal expression and you can also say that 감사해요 as an informal expression. Actually, this 감사하다, 고맙다 means same. Though 감사하다 can be used as verb and adjective. 고맙다 can only be used as adjective. Here we can see that the formality of Korean sentence doesn't come from the meaning of the word, but comes from the sentence closing ending. Like here, 읍니다, 씁니다 for formal way of speaking, 어요, 해요 for an informal way of speaking. So I think it's nice timing to learn how to say formally and how to say informally in Korean. But don't be scared, you've already learned half of them from the second episode. Okay then, let's start. Remember what we've learned from the second episode of Learn Korea with BTS? We learned 입니다, 이에요, 예요. 입니다, 이에요, 예요. They are like a be verb in English and it is only used with noun. 입니다, 이에요, 예요. For example, 진입니다, 귀입니다. You can use 입니다 whether it has 받침 or not. 이에요, 예요. For example, 진이에요, 귀예요. If there is 받침, you have to say 이에요. Here it has 받침, 진, 이에요. Here there is no 받침, so 예요, 귀예요. Then what about verb and adjective? For verb and adjective, you have to use 씁니다, 읍니다 for formal way of speaking and 아요, 어요, 해요 for informal way of speaking. But be careful about this adjective. In English, we use adjective with be verb, but in Korean, we don't use with be verb. I will give you an example. Here is an example. I am pretty. So, in English, you say pretty, adjective with be verb, but in Korean, we don't use it with be verb. So you cannot say that 저는 예쁘다입니다. Wrong. 저는 예쁘다예요. Wrong. You have to say like this. 저는 예쁩니다. 읍니다. And 저는 예뻐요. 어요. Now I'm going to explain to you one by one how to make formal sentence and how to make informal sentence. Okay, first, how to make formal sentence in Korean. You use 씁니다, 읍니다. 씁니다, 읍니다. For example, 고맙습니다. 감사합니다. 고맙다, it has 받침. So 고맙습니다. 감사하다, it doesn't have 받침. 감사합니다. If there is a 받침, 씁니다. If it doesn't have a 받침, 읍니다. 씁니다, 읍니다. Let's practice with the words that you've learned from the first episode of Learn Korea with BTS. You've already learned many verbs and adjectives from the first episode of Learn Korea with BTS. So let's review each word and check what verb and adjective you've already learned. First one. 가자. Remember? Let's go. So the basic form of this verb is 가다. Second one. 노래. It means song. So we can say 노래하다, sing a song, or 노래를 부르다. 노래하다. 노래를 부르다. It means sing a song. Third one. 달려라. It means run. The basic form of this is 달리다. Okay, fourth one. 리더. It's just noun. 마음. But we learned 마음에 들다. 마음에 들다. Remember the meaning of it? To like something. 마음에 들다. Sixth one. 방탄소년단. It's also just a noun. Seventh. 사랑한다 means love you. The basic form of this is 사랑하다. Eighth. 아프지 마요. Don't get sick. The basic form of this adjective is 아프다. Ninth. 잘 먹고 잘 자요. Eat well and sleep well. I told you that it's a very Korean style expression. 잘 먹고 잘 자요. Here, 먹다. Here, 자다. 10th one. 추억. It means memory. But when you say 추억하다, it means to record something. 추억하다. 11th, 콘서트. And it means concert. It's just a noun. 12th, 특별하게. It means specially. The basic form of this adjective is 특별하다. 13th, 피아노. 피아노. We say 피아노를 치다 to means to play the piano. 치다. 14th, last one was 행복. Happiness. But we can say 행복하다 to mean to be happy. 가다, 노래하다, 부르다, 달리다, 사랑하다, 아프다, 자다, 추억하다, 특별하다, 치다, 행복하다. They all don't have 받침. So just erase 다 and write down 읍니다. 갑니다. 노래합니다. 부릅니다. 달립니다. 사랑합니다. 아픕니다. 잡니다. 추억합니다. 특별합니다. 칩니다. 행복합니다. This 먹다 has 받침, so erase 다 and write down 씁니다. 먹습니다. 먹습니다. What about 마음에 들다? It has 받침 르. 받침 르 is a little bit difficult one because it's irregular. If 받침 르 means 느, 브, 스, and 받침 르, this 받침 르 goes away. So you can easily remember with 나쁜 사람, which means bad person. So when you meet bad person, you should run away, right? So if this 받침 르 means 느, 브, 스, 르, then it goes away. So how can you change this? 마음에 들다. Here is 스, so it goes away. Then there is no 받침. So you should write 읍니다. 마음에 듭니다. Not 마음에 들습니다. 마음에 듭니다. To sum up, to make a formal sentence in Korean, you have to use 씁니다 or 읍니다 with verb and adjective. If there is 받침 like 먹, then 씁니다. 먹습니다. If there is no 받침, 읍니다, like 갑니다. Let's move on to how to make an informal sentence in Korean. Let's learn how to make informal sentence in Korean. With verb and adjective, you should say 아요, 어요, 해요. 아요, 어요, 해요. If the vowel is O and 아, 아요. If the vowel is not O or 아, 어요. If the word ends 하다, 해요. Let's check the meaning of the verb and adjective one more time. 가다, go. 자다, sleep. 아프다, sick. 먹다, eat. 마음에 들다, like. 달리다, run. 치다, play. 고맙다, thank. 노래하다, sing. 사랑하다, love. 추억하다, recall. 특별하다, special. 행복하다, happy. 감사하다, thank. This 하다 is easier than other rules, so let's take a look here first. As I said, if the word ends with 하다, then you have to say 해요 to make an informal sentence. So erase this or 하다 and say 해요. 노래해요, 사랑해요, 추억해요, 특별해요, 행복해요, 감사해요. So if the word ends with 하다, 해요. Okay? Next one is 아요. If the vowel is 우 or 아, then we say 아요. 가다, 자다, 아프다. So let's erase 다 here. Look at here. 가 has 아. So 아요. 가아요. 가요. 자, same. It has 아, 아요. 자아요 is long, so it has to be shortened. 자요. This 아프다 is a little bit difficult one because it has 으. If the vowel 으 means 아, 어, then it should goes away. So 아 or 어, it goes away. And when you look at here, the vowel is 아. So you have to say 아요. 아파요. If the vowel is not O or A, then we use 어유. 어유. 먹다. It has which is not O or A. So we have to use 어유. 어유. 먹어요. 마음에 들다. Here 들 has which is not O and A. So we say 어유. 어유. 마음에 들어요. 달리다. It has E here, which is not O and A. So we say 어요. 달리어요. It's long. It has to be shortened like this. 달려요. 달려요. 치다. It also has E here, which is not O and A. So 어요. 치어요. It's long, so it has to be shortened like this. 쳐요. 쳐요. 고맙다. It's a little bit picky one because it has 부 here. 받침부 is also irregular. This 받침부 means a or this 받침부 changes to 우. So let's check. 고맙다. Here is this part. 어요. But this 부 changes to 우. 우. And then 어요. 어요. 고마워요. 고마워요. To sum up, to make informal sentence in Korean, you have to use 아요, 어요, 해요 with verb and adjective. If the vowel is O or A, we use 아요, like 가요, 자요, 아파요. If the vowel is not O or A, we use 어요, 먹어요, 들어요, 달려요, 쳐요, 고마워요. If the word ends with 하다, we use 해요. 노래해요, 사랑해요, 추억해요, 특별해요, 행복해요, 감사해요. Let's review how to make formal sentence and informal sentence in Korean. If it is used with noun, then you should use 입니다 for formal way. 이에요, 예요 for informal way. When there is a 받침, 이에요. There is no 받침, 예요. For example, 진입니다, 귀입니다. 진이에요, 귀예요. Okay? If it is used with verb and adjective, you have to say 씁니다, 읍니다 for a formal expression. 아요, 어요, 해요 for informal expression. If there is a 받침, 씁니다. Doesn't have 받침, 읍니다. 먹습니다, 갑니다. If the vowel is O or A, 아요. If it's not O or A, 어요. If the word ends with 하다, 해요. 가다, 가요. 먹다, 먹어요. 사랑하다, 사랑해요. Okay? Did you understand? It's not that difficult, right? If you have any request or question, please leave a comment. 감사합니다. 다음에 만나요.